ladies.
Let me refresh mine.
Once again, welcome to the show.
Happy Sunday.
Hey, hey, hey.
Sunday Brunch, the ninth edition. You guys, we have been on 9 times on Facebook, on anywhere, and I'm always happy. I always look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday. I tell you, happy Sunday. Run that back. Run it back again.
Let's go.
The all-star cast as usual. Tara Lynn Towns with Living Beyond You, Child Development Behavioral Specialist, President and CEO of Tiny Be Mighty from Bayonne, New Jersey. Tamika Dixon, WNBA great, current business owner, future Hall of Fame, Linden, New Jersey.
Let's
Kenya
go.
Smith, the godmother, WNBA great, general manager, future Hall of Famer out of DC. Somebody stop me, okay? Adrian Goodson is your host, and we have our all-star cast of ballers today, which makes for a great show. So welcome to the ninth edition, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes, as usual, we have to toast it up.
Hey. Oh, yes.
It is time, okay? Sunday brunch mimosa. Today I don't have a mimosa. Today I have a spritzer, cranberry spritzer. All right.
I'll
Yeah, I
take that.
noticed I'm the only one with the orange juice today.
And it's
I
all
used to
good.
have the red cup and Crystal Light. All you got, baby.
See, you affected us deeply. You affected us. And now everybody's going to the pink stuff, and then you going to the orange. So, but it's okay because it's brunch, and we could do
That's right.
we could do a mimosa, we could do a spritzer, whatever it is. It's our time, it's our moment. So, like I said, we had that all-star cast. We're gonna have a great show. We're gonna continue on and piggyback off of last week. Conversation, both the NBA and the WNBA deciding on a season in LA, and it gets better, ladies. Since then, I've spoken to a close source about training camp. 9 players have decided to sit out of the 2020 season, and I'm talking about heavy hitters, not just average players, players that are going to affect the roster. And there is an extremely strict 92-page protocol for the season. So, Tamika, I'm starting with you from a player's perspective and piggybacking from last week. And Renee not deciding not to play. She decided that she was going to sit out. Now it's grown to 9 players. The players had until midnight on Friday or Saturday, all right, to declare their status. So let me say the players' names. We have Cecilia Zandalasini, Renee Montgomery, John Cole Jones, Natasha Cloud, who just signed a big contract with Converse, Latoya Sanders, Tiffany Hayes, which isn't a surprise to me because Tiffany has always been, her own leader and has done things her way and different. Rebecca Allen, Christy Tolliver stepped into the stage, and then you have, I don't know, excuse me if I pronounce her name wrong, Penny Shinny Agumekwe.
Shanae Agumake, yep.
Renee. So, I stand corrected definitely. I knew I was going to muff that up. So,
I used to, don't feel bad. I used to say Shanae, and then I was corrected by Neka Chene. So don't feel bad.
get it right. You know how we are as black women when it comes to our name. Listen, get it right. And I got a long name, so that's why I said I stand corrected because, Adrienne, Adrienne, man, people be muffing it up. I'm like, what? How did you even get that out of there? Andrea, Andrea. I'm like, there's not even an N before the D, so it goes on. But Tamika, it went from probably 2 players last week, maybe 3, to now it's 9. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, I think, we've been kind of moving forward with this conversation week after week, and I think, it was to be expected. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody on the panel here. as far as, having some players step up and say that, they weren't going to play, whether it be for health concerns or for, their own social justice issues that they think, need to take a bigger step forward in that arena. So, you're gonna have that, but this is why a few weeks when we were discussing with the waiving of the players and things like that, that those players, they were waived and that surprise came and all of that, that they needed to stay ready, because now it's an opportunity for them to jump into a role that they may not have had this situation and these circumstances not happen. So I think it's a lot of things. I think, the league, we are all learning on the fly with this, and the league is no different. And things are happening kind of at a warp speed. So, as only thing, and we've talked about it week after week, that the players can control is themselves. How they're going to show up, is going to be paramount. But not only the players that are playing, those players that were waived are now having an opportunity, and hopefully, they didn't rest on their wounds and lick their wounds and not get up and be prepared, because like I said, and like we said weeks ago, this is an opportunity for these players now to step up and have an opportunity. And wouldn't you want to go in, to your training camp ready to perform? So it's gonna, this is gonna be interesting to see. But we knew that this was happening, and the players have to, from a player's perspective, they just got to be ready for whatever it is. And here we are.
Yeah, exactly. You want to elaborate on that a little bit, then?
Well, I definitely echo everything what Tiptoe Dixon just said. But
Oh,
it's like you say, you got to stay ready. And we all know this, and being an athlete, it would take a huge amount of discipline to be ready for what they're about to face. So I
Hmm.
think that even once the ball is thrown up and tipped off, I still think you're going to see at least 2 more weeks of conditioning where we
Hmm.
might see some sloppy play at the beginning.
yeah,
Because you may have, let's say, out of 1 or 12 players, you may have two that are in great, great shape, and the rest were, okay shape. But we all know nothing can simulate a real game besides you having those real practices under your belt, or unless you were just coming from overseas, which wasn't happening because we all were dealing with quarantine in our own country. So it's gonna be a lot, and that's why I'm trying to figure out what type of medical staff that they're gonna have, because the number of allotted staff is 8, which means that even the coaches are probably going to be doing a lot of their own video breakdown. It's going to be a lot on them. And I know we're talking about the players, but it's going to be a lot on the coach. And imagine when that cabin fever hit. And this is why, not to keep bringing up a bad subject, but they need a couple of. I hope they got a couple of psychiatrists in there, or mental health people, and life coaches, because quarantining and being in there, you're going to get cabin fever. You're going to get, anxious. You're going to get anxiety. And I believe that players should have somewhere to go and, obviously confidential and, express how they feel. So that's kind of like what I'm interested to see. And I probably will dig around to see if that's happening, because that's going to be vital whenever you're in the bubble.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And Tara, you can elaborate a little bit on how psychological it's going to become.
Yeah, I agree with both Mika and Penny. It's going to be physical and mental, but something that Penny just said, and that's something that I wanted to suggest, is that since they have all of this land, that they should have a holistic sanctuary. So this sanctuary is just a designated place for practices to happen, like your meditation, your prayer, your affirmations, all of that. But I feel it should be part of, like, almost like a curriculum within the protocol of what to do. I also think that they should have a holistic practitioner on staff, like a naturopathic physician, because I think that, well, not I think, I don't know if you guys know what Myers cocktails are, but they are intravenous vitamins that you can take. But you have a naturopathic physician that kind of finds out what's off in your system, and then they, put the amount of vitamins they're amazing. I used them when I had, fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, and when I had my neck injury. They're amazing. But it should be like a little sanctuary / clinic, but definitely the holistic approach needs to be in there. Like Penny just said, life coaches, therapists, whatever it's going to take to feed and support that mind for the players and even the coaches as well. And also too, within the sanctuary, I just, you can designate certain times so you don't have to worry about a pack of people being in there, and it's just your private time, your place of peace that you can have to get you through whatever you're going to be going through.
Yeah.
So if you guys are listening out there, get a holistic sanctuary. Seriously.
Trust me, they're definitely listening.
Okay.
I'm gonna run it down, run down a list of logistics. All right, and I heard this word a lot in conversation yesterday. I was having yesterday, that affect how this all plays out, and they're going to be on 500 acres, okay, of land, right? So keep that in the back of your mind. First of all, let's give them a hand clap. They're going to get all of their money, so we're going to praise God above on that. Yes.
That's
So
good.
that's a thing that we were concerned about, and we talked about it. So when you say, if anybody's listening, trust me, they are.
I do want to say one thing on that, and that's interesting because I know that, and I'm just throwing it out there, I could be wrong, but I know that's the verbiage they're singing, but also a lot of people are singing that it's contingent on playing all 22 games.
Yep.
Which is a big difference. So in my world, anybody knows me knows I call it like I see it. So yeah, you'll be paid your full amount contingent on all 22 games.
Yeah.
Being in a state right now that the coronavirus done spiked to almost double the amount, where a governor or a mayor or whoever's in charge could step in at any moment and be like, okay, quarantine at home and everything cease. That might stop the season. And unfortunately, we all know Florida is what? Tornado hurricane season, is coming. That could stop the season. So, yeah, paid their whole salary contingent on 22 games. When I was talking about they should be paid their whole salary in the beginning, and I echo it again, they should be paid their whole salary no matter how many games they play, because those other two things are out of their control. And if they're taking the risk, going in the bubble, doing everything they can, and let's just say somebody goes to all of a sudden stay at home and you have to stop everything, and you know how that goes. We've been quarantined for what was it, 3 months? I still feel that the players should be paid their money. So that's where I'm kind of like, let's make sure the message got it all in there. Contingent on playing all 22 games.
Yeah, if we could take that contingency off of that, that'd be awesome.
That'll be tremendous because they deserve it.
That's just hazard pay period. Just for showing up, and the conditions are going to be very, very stressful. But moving along, other than them getting their money, they will use 500 acres of the IMG Elite Training Facility, okay, until school returns in September or whenever it decides, and then it's cut into 250. Boo-hoo. That's a lot of space, okay, to be secluded. So the cost of each team, it costed each team an extra $800,000 to make this happen. On July 6th, they're to report, but they all have to report together. Okay, and they're going to test daily for 2 weeks, and no one leaves for any reason. The front office and administration, of course, they got to meet daily at 4:30 because everything keeps changing. The housing, which is unique, the housing is in a hotel, and these are choices, but they're options. They gave it according to seniority. So you have housing in a hotel, 2-bedroom lodge with your own bathroom, or a 3 to 4 bedroom villa with your own bathroom. The coaches and vets with 6 years of experience got a +1, and that's including those players that have a child. Of course, you get a +1. You're not going to leave your kid anywhere. And the thing
And
that
they
we,
have to play, and oh, not to interrupt, but they have to pay for their +1 out of
yeah,
their pocket.
so better pay that money up. Pay them salaries. The lottery, there's a lottery for practice, which we laughed about a little bit. So it's rotational in 4 gyms, so that nobody has any type of advantage. There's always a lottery, and there's one player and one coach with masks and gloves, and the ball gets sanitized as for each individual workout. Um, they're going to play 3 games a week and have a day of rest, and the game schedule is to be announced. There's a laundry schedule for each team for practice and games that must be followed. They have a strict protocol. Um, and the biggest thing that I was hearing, with the coaches' concerns, and we elaborated on this week's, was about the conditioning, because the players don't have a good base of training, under their belt because of this whole COVID, and they got to get in shape quickly. So we discussed this on other episodes. So that right there is in a nutshell, ladies. We have a lot of things that we can definitely touch upon, and we have some great topics that we could talk about. And like I said, they're on 500 acres. It gets split in half to 250. There'll be plenty of space for them to get on their Zen Buddha and do their meditations if they need to, and get away, because they definitely will need to do that, especially if you're not in that hotel room and you're staying in a 2-bedroom lodge, or you're staying in the bathroom. I think that the ladies got the opportunity to choose, like, who their roommate was going to be, to make it a little easier. They always gave us those options a lot too anyway, especially when we were staying together. But, talk about the stress from the practice with the one player, one coach, one mask, one pair of gloves, sanitize the ball after practice is over. Talk about that atmosphere.
Well, when you say one player, one coach, what is that? Individual workouts? Because in
Yeah,
order to, okay, so you're talking individual, not the team. Because I know the team is going to have to play, all together, which is going to be, you already know that's going to be a lot of touching on the ball, a lot of,
that's
what do you
so.
say, talking, collab, all this stuff going out, which brings me to something that I find extraordinary that I haven't heard about, and we touched on it. I believe it was our last podcast, where the smart ring. And remember, the smart ring is supposed to detect pre-coronavirus symptoms 3 days earlier if someone is susceptible to it. It's the ring that all the NBA players are having the option to wear or not wear. And I get to hear that the WNBA players are going to have this as an option. When I'm thinking that, okay, if they have this additional preventative device, then the women should have also had the option to wear this additional device. Because I saw that some of the guys were complaining about, oh, it can track me or it can follow my movements. Well, not really. If you don't want them to track you, if you're going somewhere you're not supposed to be, then just take it off. If you want to put everybody else in danger. But me personally, I would want to have the option to also have the smart ring, which I haven't heard it mentioned one time for the WNBA players.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where I'm kind of like, okay. And I truly believe that the league is doing all that it can. I truly believe that, because I know they're trying to keep the girls safe, but I want to make sure that, hey, I want equal for the women. If the guys have the opportunity to wear the ring, can somebody tell me why the girls don't have the opportunity to wear the ring? And if they are wearing it or have the opportunity, then correct me. I'd be happy to be corrected, but I have yet to hear it mentioned, the women were having the option to wear this particular ring, and they should have the option as well.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. I would, I can't wait to see the day when, we just get what we deserve, and we get everything that we need, and we don't always have to say, well, the men got it, why can't we have it? Like,
Exactly,
there's
exactly.
so many things from health insurance to, and we ain't even gonna get into, going into, the pension plan. It's just we shouldn't have to keep doing this. Like, oh, okay, we gotta ask for it. It should just automatically there.
Yeah.
If this is your league and the NBA is the father company, then take care of your daughter. And we shouldn't have to question that. You're not going to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and your daughter is screaming and hollering because she's hungry. You're not going to sit there and contemplate whether you're going to give her the bottle.
And
You
see,
know,
being a lot of people don't understand that I held two titles, executive vice president and general manager. And that's because I done every position in the whole organization. And when you're talking about a device such as this, you look at the publicity that this device is getting. And like I said, I may be wrong, but I can almost guarantee you that these devices were given as a sponsorship to those players, because if the NBA players are wearing them, they're $2.99 on the market. You can go buy one. A person can go buy one. They cost $299. So once everybody see the NBA players with these rings, you already know everybody's going to run to the store. They probably won't be able to make them fast enough. And this is why I'm saying why my perception, and I could be wrong, is this is a sponsorship deal. So just like, when you done the deal for Adidas for the shoes, the women, they had to wear Adidas too. They're going to the Wilson Ball over the Spalding Ball this year. Okay, the men got the smart rings, and the 144 players that are in, and that's, obviously all teams don't have 12, but for the 144 WNBA players, they should have been given a ring or an option to wear the ring as well. And that's
absolutely.
for free. And I'm sure it's a sponsorship deal.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, people come and they want us athletes to wear everything. It's great advertisement where we go, where we shop, everything that we do. We're gonna have that watch on. We're gonna have those sneakers on. We're gonna have that brand on. So it's just a perfect
Exactly.
sponsors to get involved. And I hope and pray that they have somebody over there that's really, really gonna do some serious marketing. Because right now, I mean, if you think about it, and those 9 players, I mean, well, how did it kill Converse? How did it kill Converse that you know, that one of the players that they just signed, Natasha Cloud doesn't play this season, and they really could have got some dollars from that. So
Well,
sponsorship is.
obviously, and not to keep interjecting here, but actually
Oh, I want some.
Natasha Cloud done got large from this.
Exactly.
I've actually had some conversations with her agent, and she's in high demand because, although she won't be playing, she is still one of the forefronts and one of the leaders of, hey, it's about social justice, being a part of something that's larger than herself. I believe that, believe it or not, Latasha done went from an athlete to an, I don't, when I say, I don't, con is the right word. I always say the highest compliment that an athlete can have is to be recognized outside their jersey.
Yeah, the
Natasha
marketing.
Cloud will be recognized now outside of that Mystics jersey. So if I'm Converse, they still hit a home run with her. They actually might have
Absolutely.
knocked it out they might have knocked it out the park. And
Yeah,
that's what we want to do as athletes. We want to be able to, hey, come out of that uniform and live on our own brand. So
I
she
agree.
actually, I'm don't feel sorry for Natasha. She's kind of rolling right now.
yeah,
I look for her to do big things off this platform here.
That's a
yeah,
fact.
absolutely. And it just got bigger and bigger, and it kept coming in. And every time I looked on, I open up my phone, Google just pops up with all different stories, and the WNBA is definitely in the forefront with its stories, especially with the players deciding not to play, and then all of a sudden, like we discussed, Tamika, you have players who saying that they're not going to play, and then here comes Essence Carson gets the opportunity to go to DC and sign with DC because one of their players decided that she wasn't going to play. So now it's a different situation, and it becomes psychological, Tara, because one minute you weren't playing, and now all of a sudden there's a big, huge billboard that says, "Welcome to New York, Joyner Homes." So, she wasn't going to play. Now she's going to play. And so it's just so psychological. There's so many things that are going on right now. I wish them so much luck, but the fact does remain that, conditioning is the main thing for these girls right now, and being disciplined around that whole. I would love to see that 92-page protocol that they have, or how they're going to govern themselves, and they keep adding stuff to it every single day, Penny. Every single day they have to
And
have calls at 4:30 every day, because every day something changes about this COVID virus and how to deal with it. And so
And that's why I speak, and not to toot my own points for Penny right now, the little talks I've been giving, but let me throw it in there. That's why I always say the winner of this league it's going to come down to four things. And here's the four things I talk about. Whichever team has the most players in shape, mindset, whichever team has the best leaders on their team, because the coaches are going to lead. You're going to need players to be able to lead, the locker room, and when things go wrong, to stay calm, and attitude. That's going to be the team that wins the championship this year. And just to go back on Essence Carson's a little bit, she played in Los Angeles for a couple of years. I'm not surprised that she was picked up. I said, there go Mike Tebow again, making a great move, because Essence Carson is what I like to call a professional player. Now, I can pretty much guarantee you she's in shape, because she's a professional player that's always taking care of her body, always doing the right things. So Washington is going to be able to hit the ground and not miss a beat. I thought Bill Laimbeer did an awesome job in picking up Alex Bentley when Kelsey Plum went down.
yes, yes,
I'm really super excited, like I've said on other platforms, to see Miss Angel McCarthy back in the uniform.
yes,
It's going to be interesting to see. But just getting back to what you said, like I said, it's going to take those four things. Which team has the most players in shape? Mindset. Which team got the best leaders? And number four, attitude, because everything ain't going to be perfect. They're going to have to keep adding things daily. So as a player, you're going to have to be a little more patient, and you're going to have to be and adaptive to what's happening, because anything that they do at this point, it's about your safety, and understand that. And that's where that good attitude comes in at.
yeah,
And PC, just to piggyback off that, because I was thinking as you were raising those points, adaptability is going to be huge too, because you can
Mm-hmm.
imagine these players are coming in.
yes,
Like you said, half of them are going to be conditioned, half of them aren't. So when you're not conditioned and when you're not up to par in that area, here come injuries. So now,
Oh yeah.
you may, and because it's a shortened season, those injuries could linger on for 22 games. That could potentially be an issue. So now, again, you got those players sitting on the sideline, and what do they got to do? Stay ready. Because it could be, it could be like a round robin where you got to keep bringing players in just to get through this season, because, you never know how that injury bug is going to hit. And when you come in, and you got 2 weeks to get in prime condition, things are going to happen. You got older players, you got situations that might occur in that area, and everybody has to, you got to be able to maintain and be adaptable to all circumstances and situations, and you got to be patient with it.
And ask yourself this too, Meek. And here's another question: when a player does get an injury and go down, and I know, like I say, obviously I'm getting secondhand information. I'm not, GM with just being on my desk at the moment. But ask yourself this: when they bring the new player in, that player is going to have to be tested. Just like my understanding is, this week everybody was being tested a week before they went in the bubble, and then they were going to be tested again on July the 6th when they all arrive at the same time, which I think is definitely the protocol, considering that 16 NBA players have already tested positive, and they were tested before they were going in the bubble. So therefore, they have to stay home and quarantine for 14, 15, or 20 days before they can even join their team now. So now when you're bringing that outside person in, and this is where I say it gets heightened and where it gets a little tricky, because the person coming in, they could be asymptomatic. symptomatic and not show any symptoms until everybody's affected. Where I think, and if I could throw any suggestion out there to the league, that they might want to get in touch with some agents and some players and be like, hey, get a top 14 list from all the coaches that are in there, just like when you do pre-draft and who's going in the war room, and notify those players that, hey, you have a potential, get with all the coaches to give you a list, you have a potential if there's an injury that you may be called, but you'll only be called if you have been quarantined before you get there. Because other than that, if they haven't been quarantined, they get there, they could affect the whole camp. I
Yeah,
mean, one player could really just affect the whole camp.
okay.
And that would be my suggestion to the league. Hey, get that short list of players that can potentially be called and notify them right now that, hey, you need to be quarantined in order to get the call to come into the bubble.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was gonna, and to piggyback off of that, because I was gonna mention and ask you that too. Um, you know, how unique would it be for them to, okay, let's say this number, this magic number is 14, and they say, okay, all right, we got 14 people. Bring those 14 people in already quarantine them, have them in a place, have a place for them to already stay. You got 500 acres. I'm sure that there's some place you can find for them to stay. And you have them already. You have all 14 of them quarantined in that one area. Don't separate them. Keep them right there. They're quarantined right there. And so this way, if anything happens, you have that pool of people. They can be working out, whatever team they're slotted to play for. They know the plays. They're in the loop with everything. We got Huddle. We have Synergy. We have all different platforms, whichever platform they're using. They can get those videos. They can get whatever they need to stay abreast on what's going on, the plays, this, that, and the third, and then just keep them there on the campus instead of saying, hey, we're going to challenge, we're challenging you, because that's what it is. If I'm at home, the comforts of my own home, and I'm supposed to quarantine for 14 days, it's going to be real difficult for me to do that. Because I still need to run out to the store. I still need to do this. I need to do that. So it's probably better for them to bring them there. What do you think about that, guys?
I think that's a thumbs up for real.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be the
I think that's an
smartest thing.
awesome idea.
Yeah,
You have to have that. That's why I say you have to have that pool of players, and just what you said, it's how it should roll out.
And I mean, Tara, like I elaborate on it. There's a strict protocol and a lot of coordination for everybody. Like
Yeah.
a lot, like talk about some things how they can stay focused and how important it is being organized in your thoughts and patterns, and how mandatory that is for the success of the whole organization, not just individual teams, but as a whole. Everybody's got to function properly like ants.
Right. Well, I think the first thing, the overall mindset for anyone in this situation, because it's a lot. Like, just I don't play, but I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. But I think the first thing that any person in this situation, the first mindset they should have is to be prepared for the unexpected and to be prepared for disruption in schedules. Because a lot of people, normally I know you guys are very organized. It's on schedule. You have to be, right? Task driven, your practices, everything. But that's not what we have right now. We have a state of chaos right now. And then we have these protocols that are just initial protocols that I'm sure are going to be switched in and out. So when you have a mindset thinking that, wow, okay, I'm reading my protocols, this is what I have to do. But you said 4, 5, and 6 was going to happen, and now there's 11, 12, 13. So you could see right there, that is, whoa, it's overwhelming to begin with. So to set up the players and anyone, the coaches, the families for success, go in with the mindset that this is interchangeable, that it's not set in stone, and that it's just a blueprint that things will be added to. So that's the first thing that I would say, that can bring a lot of peace and balance in it. And then the second thing is just to connect to the commitment, because the commitment is the protocol, it's the safety, it's caring about other people and not sneaking away and, possibly bringing things back to the little community. I mean, this has to be ran like a little city, like with a mayor and, the police chief, that mentality. It's its own little city. And so I think that, for people to focus on that commitment, they made a choice, right? They had a choice to either play or not. They made the choice to play. So this is what comes with the play, which is being, like I said before on another podcast that we did, that I believe in being, married to the work that it takes and not the goal, because the goal will always be there. The goal is for them to play, right? They're there. Okay. Now, what are we doing to play? Because this is not like how we just roll up, practice like it was before everyone's healthy and you go on to play a game. This is like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the whole alphabet before you get to playing the game. So if you just focused on the game, you're not going to be focused on the game. And I know that that's, like a double negative, but I really mean it. You're not going to be, because the game is you being healthy, responsible, and proactive in protocol. So if you're not married to what it takes and you just focus on a goal, guess what's going to happen? Once again, your mind is going to be in another place. The focus is going to sway the minute, like I just said, to be prepared for disruption and diversity and what's going to take place. We hope it all runs smoothly, but look at right now, like Penny said, is the cases are like triple. So we didn't expect that. They're supposed to be going down. We're supposed to have this together, but obviously we don't have it together yet. So I think that will set up players for, success with being focused. Have the drive should be what you are doing to get to that goal. And then obviously all of the mind things. I mean, I think that because people, if they're not connected to the higher self, they think it's like some little disease, or they don't believe in it, or that doesn't work, that's some hoo-ha stuff, and it's not. So I think that setting up, almost like a curriculum. I mean, I said, what would I do for these players when they went into a room if they're coming to play for me and they're risking their lives, right? So I would have an appreciation basket. Boom, as soon as they go in a room with just things for themselves to relax, calm, all different types of things. And then I would have a safety basket, because it's training the brain to think about, see, these may be gestures and gifts, but these are mind, these are brain games. So when you come in, you're saying, wow, I'm appreciated for being here. And then, oh, here's the safety things in their face. Like, this is what it looks like. This is what you have to wear every day. This is what and this starts training the brain to think about, I'm appreciated, but I also have to appreciate others in their lives. So I must follow protocol. So all different experiential things that will start the brain to be stuck on protocol. Because if protocol is not going to take place, we already know you're gonna have a lot of issues. You're gonna have a lot of possibly sick people, dead people. I mean, you have children there. So I just feel that the whole organization needs to get on this as the example, because you also have people who say, how do I do this, right? You have people that say, okay, this sounds wonderful, but how the heck do I relax when everything's not relaxable? And I know it's not a word, but how do you, right? So setting up a specific place. If you say there's 500 acres, that's a lot of space, but they need structure. Say, this is your building for this. This is your space to do all of these things. And now you have like children showing up to a classroom. They come to a classroom to get their instruction. It should be the same type, in my opinion, it should be the same type of protocol when it comes to the mind. Because if the mind is not functioning and the endorphins are not, boosting up, and the dopamine is not boosting up, you're going to have a lot of people's serotonin off. And like Penny said, cabin fever, like a mug, and you're going to have some situations that are not even part of COVID. That's why it should be so important and so many examples of structure and balance and harmony when it comes to the mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody want to elaborate on that?
I think Tara said it all.
I know
It
every
sure did.
people make, valid points, and it's just hard to follow up. We got such a group of intelligent women on the street. It's kind of hard to like just, all you can say is piggybacking off of that.
Yeah.
Or
I will say this. I'm hoping, and I'm sure everybody has the same protocol, but I do believe, and I'm sure the WNBA has this, and I just want to stress that we have a lot of coaches that are in that danger area, that if they were to catch COVID. I mean, Bill, I actually saw your age. I Googled you for something, and I saw, you got Bill, Mike Tebow, Marianne Stanley, a new coach. It's in, and I'm hoping that they are getting an added layer of prevention added on. I'm hoping, and I'm hoping everybody get the max, but some special attention, and if they're not feeling well, immediately to have the doctors or someone see them, because being a part of the WNBA family probably for my whole existence, I don't want anybody to be the first, and unfortunately casualties sometimes happen. And this is why I say to the players that in the end, the WNBA can have 100 protocols in place, but if you don't follow them, that's when the danger comes in. So that's why I say everybody has to be accountable for themselves. And if you don't want to be accountable to yourself, think about, your teammate, your coach, that can be infected, kids that are going to be there, because there are going to be some plus ones there. And, if you there and you say you want to have a season, go that extra mile to make sure that you make it to that 22 games and through that playoffs. And that's going to come down to the individual. And I'm going to say it, and I know nobody wants to say it. And all you people that think you want to be deputy dog, and what I mean by deputy dog, they go off and do their own thing and think nobody would know they left or came back. Realize that you could bring the whole house tumbling down on you. So let this be your warning. If you see this video, don't do it. Don't do it. Stay there, do as you're told, and be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, because I want the WNBA to pull this off and succeed. And then you NFL and all the rest of y'all can figure out how they did it.
Yeah,
Girl
absolutely.
power.
Okay, girl power, baby. They already know. We bring them
Girl
in.
power.
We bring them in here. We bring them in here. We're the vehicle through which everything passes into this world. So we ain't gonna talk about who's the most powerful on the planet. We'll just leave it alone. I don't want to scare the fellas away. We got a nice audience out there. You got Craig Howell out there. Shout out to Craig Howell.
Oh,
Dante Borders out there. Joe Smith out there. Ricardo Field and myself, Carter out there. Nice following out there, you guys. Please feel free to ask questions. That's what we're here for. We're not here just to inform you, but at the same time, you can ask questions. We have people on here who played basketball for a long time. We know that half the people out there, probably more than half the people out there, have kids. Some of them are playing basketball right now. You got a powerful panel right now here, and myself and Penny and Tamika give out points points from Penny, tippy toes
there you
Tamika.
go. Throw it back.
Same time you got Tara Lynn Towns, excuse me, may got mess with it. Definitely got to get that Lynn in there. She'll bite my head off if I don't. So behavioral specialists and can give some advice not only on that but also on bullying. So it's each one teach one, and everybody is here to help one another. So it's always a powerful show that we have. We have this all-star cast of people. I love being on the show with you guys every Sunday. And as we close out, I always give everybody the opportunity to have some closing thoughts. We're going to start with you, Meek, okay? Because no, you're not the baby of the bunch. Who's the baby of the bunch? Yeah,
I don't
Meek's the
know. I don't
baby.
know. We not having no age.
Meek's the
We not
baby of
saying
the bunch.
age up here.
Okay, we're not.
Baby of the bunch. I know
You
that for
gotta leave
sure.
some mystique. You gotta leave some mystique.
That's right.
Well, I love the nickname you done gave me, Adrian. What is it? The Godmother.
The
I
godmother.
love that name. Okay.
That's
Let
the
me give you some of
godmother. You
this
know what
for
I'm
the
saying? We all
Godmother.
got
Let me give you
names, you
some of
know. That's the godmother. You know, people call me the big auntie. I got some people trying to steal that, but you can steal it. I know I'm the big auntie. You know, we gotta
this.
get we gotta get something for Meek. We just gonna keep on calling her Tippy Toes, Tippy Toes,
Oh
Tippy
my
Style.
God! If you and I'm telling you, anybody
Or she
out
call me the
there,
Golden
and I know
Dog.
and I know it's off the topic, but if you haven't seen Tamika play, you gotta go watch them handles because they were crazy. And you see her pity patting with them feet, and you'll know how she got the nickname Tippy Toe Dixon. So Mika's
Appreciate the
cold, you
love,
know.
PC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I just in closing kind of want to say that that and PT, I think you said it, very gracefully. These players that come in, man, it's not about you when you come in. It's about you, but it's really not about you. We are family when we step into this bubble, and you have to do everything in your power to make this, to be as safe as you can for not only for yourself but for everybody else. Um, and that's the biggest thing. You gotta take this thing seriously. And sometimes as young people, we feel like it can't happen to us.
Right.
You know, that it's going, we're healthy, we're completely healthy, but you can't think about it like that because there's other people in that bubble that may not have those same circumstances. And even, we're seeing day to day totally healthy, completely healthy people, passing away. So it's not about you. If you're going to do this, please be, 100%, committed to it and, be safe for everybody else. And secondly, I want to see how they're going to do this one-on-one training with the mask and the gloves on because you know me going into the grocery store with the damn mask and the gloves on is a feat. Now you want me to do, shoot my 1,000 jumpers and all of that in the gym with a
And we
mask
know
and the
you gotta
gloves on.
get your
You
500 in.
you already know. So I want to be a fly on the wall in those one-on-one workouts. But I know the girls, I know they'll come ready and I'm looking forward to it. I just want everybody to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. And just for those people that are out there, I know my people's down in Atlanta. Nurse Jackie would be proud of me to say that, you know, the people who are being affected are from the ages of 18 to 35 at a high number, at a high rate right now. So, the tables have turned. It was a situation where it was really attacking people that were over 50, over 60. Now, the largest group right now is from the ages 18 to 35. So if you think that you shouldn't be wearing a mask, shame on you. Put the mask on your face. Not about you, not about somebody taking away your rights. It's about you having common decency covering up that face. So, with that being said, Tara, give us some closing thoughts.
I just think that the conditioning that we've been speaking about, right, in previous talks was a lot of the body and the mind, but for people to please have the mindset that the conditioning begins in the mind first before the body. If you don't agree to work out first, you are not going to work out. If you don't agree to be successful in your game, you're not going to be successful. You could play in it, but that success, that high success level becomes when you agree in the mind first. So just have that concept that conditioning begins in the mind first. And then also, I think about this whole situation, like with people who don't want to be responsible. Would you leave your child with a sex offender or an abuser, a babysitter who you knew beat up kids? No. Would you, if you just bought a new house, would you take, acid and pour it all over your windows? And would you take, a big bulldozer and knock it down? No, you have to treat the situation like it's your home and your child, because those are two things that people are protective of. So if you can't find it in yourself, with the mask, just say, would I want my child to be affected? Would I want my child to die? Because Penny, we talked about this the other day, that people they don't take it serious until they lose a family member or they get sick. Now, why are you doing that? Why are you wasting all of that time to wait until something happens like that, right? To know. Would you like to learn from, like what I like to say, I say this to Corey, you want to go over to the stove and burn your hand yourself? Or I have the experience, I'm letting you know that's going to burn if you put your hand on it. So sometimes it's okay to go off of what we see and what people are saying, because especially when it's life or death. So just being open to and humble to receiving the truth about what's going on, and then following the protocol. It's just safety. It's just a mask. It's just gloves, and it's just washing your hands. You should do that stuff anyway. And if you don't like the mask, make them fancy. That's my last little piece of advice. Make them fancy if you don't. If you don't want to wear them, jazz them up and your gloves.
That's right.
And bling them out. And bling them
And
out.
exactly. I got a little collection right now. I think I got one. I almost have one for every day of the week. And I'm getting fancy with them. You know what I'm saying? I got one from the Retired Players Association that had on the front that said Legends on the front. So, and then I got people sending me masks out of nowhere. So, I mean, I want to say shout out to my teammates and, Jackie Kenny, Dawn Cullen, for just sending out masks to me. The Retired Players Association thinking about me enough to send me something and, in my health and everything like that. And so, we always saving the best for last. We got, we got the godmother. We got the godmother because she did it better. She did it better. So come on and bring us something.
Now, it's funny because the role has flipped. And what I mean by that, a lot of players usually when they go on to play, they say, hey, if I'm successful on the court, it's going to bring me a lot of opportunities off the court. Now, here we are in 2020, battling COVID-19. The road is reversed because I say right here, right now, and I want everybody to hear, in order to win on the court, you have to win off the court first. And that's what wearing your mask, washing your hands, social distancing, taking responsibility as a group to come together collectively in order to win on the court, to have a successful WNBA season and show all these other leagues on how we women do it. So I want to end on that note for myself. In order to win this year, you have to win off the court first. And then I'm almost guarantee you will win on the court.
Absolutely. And that's just great advice to all the
Agreed.
people that,
Absolutely. Listen, my watch party is over here going crazy, by the way. So thank
you
y'all for
know,
watching too.
absolutely. I think that is awesome. The people,
Thank
we
you.
got to get the people, we got to keep the people from being shy. We go live because we want you guys to engage and ask questions. Like I said, we have a panel of brilliant minds over here. And so, I just want to say thank you guys once again for coming to the stage. As usual, Sunday Brunch is turning into a beautiful thing. But at the
Yes.
same time, I want to get our listeners to please, go to and download us on Google. If you have Google Podcasts, download us. If you have Spotify, download us. If you have Breaker, download us. If you have Overcast, download us. If you have Pocket Cast, download us. If you have Radio Public, download us. Okay? If you have Anchor FM, download us. It gets bigger, and we don't do it without your support. We need your support on this side. Women supporting women,
Yes.
black women supporting black women, and we need our brothers, we need our men to support us more than anything. Just the same way that we lift you up on your totem pole, we need you to do the same. Treat us like the queens that we are. I love you guys. I always say Sammy Peace out.
See you guys.
Have,
Happy
Love
Sunday.
y'all.
happy,
Okay.
Bye bye,
happy
you
Sunday,
guys.
y'all.
Be
I will,
safe.
I will give
Bye
you
bye, you guys.
glasses empty.
Your glass is empty.
Well, I still
So,
have some of my oranges.
all right. Mazel
I got a
tov.
little bit.
Have a great week.
Okay, bye bye, you guys.
Take care, ladies.